Hey everyone, it's Rajin, and today I have with me in studio. We're changing it up. We got a whole different location because she is just a vibe by herself. So we had to do it different, and I have the privilege and the honor of having with me in studio Diana Thornton. Thank you so much for being with me.
Thank you so much. I appreciate just the time to really finally meet you and to just get to know you better as well.
Yes, and we had such a blast. We had such a great time. So much to get to know about the area and herself. So you absolutely want to check out the clips that we have coming up. How long have you been in the area?
I was actually born in Cocoa Beach.
You were born in Cocoa Beach?
I was born in Cape Canaveral, yes.
Okay.
We moved around quite a bit, but I came back here my junior year of high school, so Satellite High.
And you've been Satellite High.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Stingham Scorps.
Very nice.
Yes.
So you've always been here. I know you talked about like you kind of spent some time in New York, but you've always been down here.
So we officially moved back when I started out my freshman year of high school at Satellite. 9/11 happened. Things went crazy. We actually ended up moving back to Atlanta for a little bit, and then we came back to Florida. But I lived in California, Arizona, Las Vegas.
Really?
Yes.
So you've been around.
I have.
And to a lot of big cities.
Yes.
And what brings you back home?
Well, my husband kept me here, that's for sure. So he's also, he's also a Satellite grad, which is so funny.
That is so awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Very
we graduated
nice.
the same year and everything. So,
yeah.
Which is really cool.
So he's always wanted to kind of be right back here, even though you've been around in like other cities and areas.
Yeah. So we met in 2010, and he was starting a job. He had just graduated from Florida State. He was starting a job that was taking him all over, and he was traveling quite a bit. And then I unfortunately lost my father. So that's when I actually moved up to New York for a year. I was a nanny up there. I just wanted to get out for a little bit. And then within like 2 weeks of each other, Ben ended up moving back here. And then I ended up moving back here also.
Wow.
Yes.
That was definitely meant to be.
So, yes.
And so like, obviously I'm putting you on the spot.
That's okay.
But what are your thoughts about New York?
I love New York.
Okay.
I do. I definitely miss it. I love the food, the transportation. We were just talking, I love public transportation.
Yeah.
If I didn't have to drive ever again in my life, I would be okay with that.
I can understand that being down here now. Yeah.
Just I love how festive the city gets,
The energy, right?
Yes.
It's just like
so beautiful.
Next level energy. It's just, if you ever thought about like an energy drink into a city, like that's really what you get, right? It's like just everyone's just going, just so much full energy and nothing ever closes, right?
Nothing ever closes.
24 hours of everything. And, again, it's just a completely different vibe. But compared to down here, it's very different.
It's very different.
Right.
I think that what we have here, though, is so special, too. So it's nice to call this home and then be able to go back to the city and see all the special, things like for Christmas or Thanksgiving or, what have you, or to travel somewhere else, that's cold and has snow and everything. So, but yes, this is definitely our home.
It's funny to say that because I've heard a lot of people talk about that just in conversation down here. And, people say it's great to be able to sightsee in a sense, right? Like to go to, let's say, New York or LA or Vegas or whatever. But when you think about home, like where you're just, there's comfort and there's peace, it's Satellite, it's Brevard.
It is Brevard,
right?
Yes.
And I'm myself now getting a feel of that. And it's funny because my wife and I kind of traveled back and forth here for many years, and the more we get down here, the more it definitely feels like home. And so a lot of people that are thinking about relocating, and obviously, from me being
a lot of relocations, I'm seeing too.
Yeah, from me being up north, a lot of people are thinking about relocating from the north, and for many different reasons, right? And I've asked everybody just in their own version, what do you think just makes Brevard and the Space Coast so unique, so special that again, I've heard about, the U-Haul statistic of, right?
Yes.
I think everyone's like got that one pinned up, right?
Yes, that's
they're
so
like,
funny.
yes, we made it. But why is that though? Like, why do you think that so many people are really moving down here?
That's such a great question. So I think that, Brevard is so long. Brevard County is so long, right? We have so much to offer. I was actually just doing a doctor tour last week. I love being able to just kind of showcase what Brevard has and everything for new doctors that are coming in for different, companies and whatnot. But one of the things, aside from, showing her where all the ins and outs and, food and river and beach and, everything was, I had texted this sweet doctor that I met. I was like, hey, by the way, like I promised, there's going to be another space launch tonight. So make sure you have, you see that too. So we have everything from launches to, you can obviously boat in March, right? We're in March and it was like 90 degrees the other day.
Yes.
So, you've got a bunch of spring breakers down here right now too. So the beaches have been packed and, we just have so many beautiful like local food spots as well. I mean, it's not necessarily the same as New York, but I have grown such a fondness in my heart for, the local spots that have just, kind of been so ingrained and incorporated with Brevard County. So
one of the things that I actually think is super cool that I like is it still being a small town feel where like people know who you are. So if you go into like certain local restaurants or certain local areas, like people know you. I mean, I'm plugging them for this, but I was in Urban Prime the other day for the first time. And
love them.
The owner, Erkan comes over and has a conversation with us for 20 minutes, and just connecting, and it's just so nice to have that. And it's not just there, but it's just like so many other places that we've been, where it's really nice where people come by, have conversations. You don't feel rushed.
No,
it's just this really nice feeling of
community.
Yes.
It's
Great
a sense
word.
of community.
Great word.
And I absolutely love that too. Like, I think, no matter where you go, whether it's like new Urban Prime or whether it's like, your beachside doubles, which I can tell you all the specials for almost every day of the week.
I have not gotten there, and I keep telling my wife, I'm like, good. I've got to go there.
You got a daughter.
Looks so good. Yes.
Splash pad, they have that open now too.
Absolutely.
But just, it's such a sense of community, and everyone is just, like you said, so kind and so gracious, and they remember you and they remember your family, and I love that. So.
Yes. And that's the thing I think about families that are looking for that balance and that life.
Yes.
And you kind of hit on it just now where you were talking about like we've got rivers and beaches and just so many different things, rocket launches. It's a little bit surreal in a sense, because to have so much of that, the proximity to, again, you can have oceanfront living, you can be inland, but be so close and have proximity to the beaches, right?
1,000%.
You can get to Orlando, you could get to Tampa, you can get to, I mean, again, the location is absolutely amazing for all the things that you could do and get.
Yes. And, we have a 4.5-year-old, and it's so funny because my husband's like, all right, Charlotte's going to go to UCF because it's only 45 minutes from us. So, I mean, really, Orlando's just in our backyard now,
Yes.
And so we do have all like those great shops and, obviously Disney and, SeaWorld and all those, fun attractions too. So you don't have to live in that hustle and bustle of Orlando, but you're still so close to it that it's, it's such a draw. So
now it's funny that we've had all this great conversation, but one of the things, obviously, that we're here to talk about is real estate.
Yes.
And you, as a realtor, have done amazing things for your client. You've seen so much success at your brokerage and beyond that. And obviously, I see all that you're doing. I see the numbers. What do you think really embodies the difference of what you bring to your clients, your buyers, your investors? Like, what is it that you think that you offer that's just so different, and why they love working with you?
That's such a great question. Thank you for all of that, by the way. One of the things that I think that I learned a few years ago in my previous line of work is you have to meet people where they're at. And I'm such a people person.
Yes.
I never in a million years thought I'd even.
You've got I'm just saying this. You've got an amazing personality, honestly.
Thank you.
Like, I think like just bubbly personality, but then you care, but then you get to business. Like, that's amazing.
Thank you. But not everyone is in, the walk of life where they're buying their forever home on the water or, buying up multiple, investment properties or whatnot. So, I've walked with people who've lost a spouse. I've walked with people who've lost a child, who have, been separated. So there's so many different nuances and everything that we see that, we have to manage too.
Yeah.
And so you have to care. Like, I truly care about my clients. I love my clients. I've had a lot of repeat clients, and knowing what their needs are, do they have a family? What exactly are they experiencing? And the home buying process, as you know, obviously too, is such a stressful time.
Yeah.
And so anything that I can do to alleviate that from what they're already carrying and what their burdens already are, I would do in a heartbeat. And I think I try to do that for them as well. But they really just become, part of, they become friends. I truly and genuinely care about them. So.
And that's important that you just said, because so often, I mean, again, and even in the best agents, sometimes you get so caught up with the business side of things that you forget the people side of things, right? That this is something personal for that individual.
It's so personal.
And yes, we want the best for them. We want to get it done. We want to make sure they close. We want to get them the best price. We want to get them the best negotiation in terms of any other terms. And then obviously we want to keep repeating that, right?
Yes.
But it's so important to remember that at the end of the day, this is a difference for that family.
1,000%.
And you kind of said it, right? Like you've experienced it where there were, deaths in the family or whatever the situation may be. And you really want to give that care, that genuine care to that individual and family.
Absolutely.
And
1,000%.
and I think that's super important to never forget, because, and I'm not taking a dig at anyone in terms of agents or new agents, because again, it's the same thing on our side as lenders. But too many people try to get into the industry just for the financial gain. And, for many of those individuals, unfortunately, I think they don't last because you don't realize what's really important in this. It's not about the financial gain. That's the byproduct, and that comes. And we've got families that we've got to feed and take care of and all that other stuff.
Absolutely.
But at the core of it, it's people.
Exactly. And I've said it from the beginning. Like I thought it would be a one-hit wonder. I thought I'd sell my in-laws' house and find them a new one and then call it a day. I figured out something else. But God has definitely opened up other doors for me, which I'm super thankful for. And I don't take for granted. But money will come and go, but the people, they're forever. Yeah. So, and you want those lasting relationships. So, I understand too that, sometimes once a deal is done, that's really the last time you'll hear from them. I try not to let it ever be that way.
Yeah. No, which is smart. That's really good.
So, but I think that, keeping the people at the forefront of your mind and why you're doing what you're doing and remembering how and why you got into this industry. I mean, yes, it's great to make a living of what we're doing. But, I mean, I love it. I wouldn't trade it.
I'll tell you this much. I learned that lesson after the crash in 2008. Okay. So I was a lender. I was around. And I, like so many of my peers, thought that my career was over. Now, I was in my 20s. And I'm like, well, I've just been in this for a few years, and now my career is over, and that's the end of it. And I told my wife, I'm like, I'm going to have to find something else to do now and whatever. And, again, I kind of just stuck with it. But so many of my peers ended up getting out of the industry. But what I saw was the launch, in a sense, of my career at that point, because when there was a lot of disruption and confusion and just so much chaos, people flocked to who they could trust.
Yes.
And so staying in touch with those clients that I had worked with, even if we didn't close a transaction, but we even had a conversation, just letting them know that I'm still here, I can still help, and them feeling the trust and referring their children, friends, family, themselves. And I just saw my career take off, and I realized, like, exactly that same thing, that it's your clients that is going to get you through down markets, up markets. That's the secret to success that people don't understand.
1,000%.
Just doing the right thing for your clients, even if it doesn't work out into an actual transaction. But take every conversation as just looking out for the best interest of that individual goes such a far way.
Yes, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, and even now, right, after COVID, we saw the same thing. And I think that's why people trust working with you and why you are seeing the success of, people wanting to stay with you and developing a friendship out of this, because they know that you're looking out for their best interest, not just your own interest and just kind of treating them as a number.
Yes. Well, thank you. One of the things that I've also been taught in this industry is that people want to work with people that they know, like, and trust. And so I think that if people can trust you, then, it's going to go so far. And so I've been truly, truly blessed with so many amazing clients and friends and people who have put their trust in me to help them find whatever they're looking for, whether it be oceanfront or, investments or a piece of land or, whatever it may be. And it's been so rewarding to see all of that. And then to go back and visit them and see what they've done and to see how their family's thriving and how they're getting involved in other ways in the community and stuff too. It's so fun to hear like all those like updates and everything too.
Now we've obviously seen quite a bit of a boom here over the past few years. And it does have mixed feelings from what I've heard in terms of some people being happy about it and some people not, because it is a small town and, people don't like too much of a change to become more of a medium-sized town or a bigger town, right? I mean, what are your thoughts about that? And then obviously, like, in terms of, like, the future of the Space Coast, right? So, like, what do you think about change and what the future has for us?
I think that we're always evolving, and I think that we need to be I love it. I love learning. I love growing. And so I love to see what else, little old Brevard. Yeah. Like, I love to see what we're doing here. And I think that we are booming and we are thriving. And, my husband is a vice president of a construction company, and his biggest client right now is Blue Origin. Wow. And so to see all that they're doing is just so amazing. Yeah. And then I remember back in high school, because again, Satellite High, when the Pizza Gallery was like one of the first things out the avenues, and we were like, we have made it. Yeah. This is amazing. And so now to see like VR just like explode and be what it is has been really, really cool too. Yeah. And I don't know, just to be able to witness that and everything, and then just I think that I love being able to meet people who are flocking from New York or California or Texas, Ohio. I've had a lot of them recently. But I love it. I love being able to share what we have and, for them to bring their families and see and explore and stuff too. So
it's funny because I feel like everyone that's kind of migrating here has like the same mindset, right? It's like everyone's looking for the same thing. They're looking for a place to raise their family. Yes. They're looking for a better way of living. And again, I think that's probably like the main thing everyone said, especially after like the pandemic. It's like work-life balance, right? Work-life balance. That's what everyone wants, including myself. But I feel like that's what it has here, where you have enough companies that are coming down. You have enough like really great jobs, but then you could go to work and then still enjoy life. Yes. Right. Yes. And that's a great appeal about the area. And so like, do you think that's going to continue to lead to growth and expansion of Melbourne and just the Space Coast as a whole?
I think so. Yes. And what's interesting too is, we are seeing a lot of young professionals, which I love. And it's so funny because when we were in high school, it's like, I never thought I'd stay here. But now I'm like, I could never imagine leaving here.
And I'm glad that you said that, because it's funny, because that's what a lot of people, and if you could just stay there for 1 second, that's what a lot of people think, right? Like, it's small community, small town, like, I can't wait to get out. But then even if you do get out and you see what's out there, there's always just this pull back.
It's like, oh yeah, Brevard wasn't that bad when I was growing up. And now it's like, yes, I can't wait to raise my family here. Like, I can't wait for Charlotte to, see and do all the things that her dad and I did, here and everything. But one of the biggest things I think I love about Brevard is the fact that not only can you raise a family here or, just stay, but like we have, retirees, we've got investors, we've got, young and old and, just all over. I love it. We have such a wide range of people who are flocking here. Yes. And I think that we have stuff to offer for everybody. Yeah. We've got beautiful 55 and up communities now that are just exploding. And so I think that we're seeing, more of that. And, but young families, young professionals who are single and, not married, I think that Brevard has something to offer for every walk of life, and I absolutely love that.
And I think it's special. And I've spoken about this many different times that, I think when people think of Florida, they just think of the major cities, right? Like it just automatically goes to Miami, Orlando, Tampa, for the most part. Sure. And like when I've had discussions about like places on the Space Coast, and everyone's like, "Oh, I'm not familiar with it, or I'm not sure about it." But we're actually seeing now that people aren't really, especially at least up north. It's like, yeah, you know what? Miami's just maybe a little too oversaturated. Orlando is a little too oversaturated. Tampa is a little too oversaturated.
Yes.
And so, everyone's looking for like the next best spot in a sense. And I feel like there's just such a huge spotlight now on the Space Coast and everything that you've just said. And I got to tell you something, right? Like, so my daughter, and proud dad moment. But she's got like her own friends. Now, if you know, my daughter's a little over 2. And she's got her own friends. And what I mean by this is we go for a walk in the afternoon. And so if we go walk on the beach, she's got fishermen there that know her, that she says hi to, and they'll throw things to get the birds to come around because she loves the birds. And if we go walking on the main street, she's got friends there that are walking dogs. And we're talking about, people that are in their 60s or 70s that stop and talk with her. But it's like she's got her own, friends and fan base. And I'm like, this is just so amazing. Because when you talked about, your daughter and being able to have that experience, like it's the same thing I think about, right? Like I remember growing up, and even this was in New York as well, but growing up, it was just a different time. Like I remember being able to play with kids my area, and we would be out there, and my parents would be completely okay with that. And in the evenings, everyone would come out, all the neighbors, and sit down, and they would all have their own thing, and the kids would all be playing. And that's kind of gone away a little bit, and it's sad. And so, like, when I'm here and I get to see that, and I get to see kids out on the golf carts and in just areas and doing all, it really just feels special. It kind of feels like kind of time slowed down a little bit here, which is really nice, actually.
Yes. No, it's so funny. Just you talking about that. Like, I just remember back in high school when, people would be checking the waves and stuff, because RC's was like right across from Satellite High. And so that was like the big surf spot. So like, all of like the guys would come in like running into class right at the bell. And, it's just, again, it's, you just have that sense of, again, community and, just little pockets of little precious like moments and stuff too. So
now for a lot of people that are going to be looking at something like this that are, let's say, in the Northeast or in other areas of the country, and they're in that position right now, right? Like they're thinking about maybe cost of living is too high. And I can tell you right now with New York, like I've got really great agents of mine that are up there that are sending me videos of open houses where, there are lines and lines and lines out the door, but that's just because there's no inventory. And I mean, you're buying certain like single family properties that probably are worth maybe 500,000, really going for 800,000, and families that just are feeling just so pushed out. And they're at the point now where they're like, cost of living's high. I can't get something for my family, and I want to go and move somewhere, right? So like, whether it's a first-time home buyer, someone buying a vacation home or investor, like, what are your thoughts about why this area is perfect? And I know you talked about, again, from a family side of things, but let's even talk about, let's say, from an investment, like appreciation. What are your thoughts about that? What would you say to these people?
Yes. So it's funny. I actually had a sweet friend of mine from high school call me the other day. She got in with Vera Builders, and she actually did it for an investment. So it's about to be complete. And I'm like, girl, you can resell that real quick and make, or you can get a great renter in there. Yeah. So I think that we're just seeing things like continue to rise. And obviously you need someone skilled who knows what they're doing as far as, negotiating and pointing you in the right direction and trying to figure out exactly what you're looking for, like as an investor. Whether it be like a complete flip or like a brand new build that you're wanting to have, a newcomer for Blue Origin or SpaceX, come and rent it out and be a good quality tenant for you, right? Right. So really, we have everything from brand new construction to complete dirt that you can build your own, or just a complete flip for you. I had a client of mine. We got him. It was technically commercial because it was 5 units. So it was a quadplex and then a single family home in the front, right in Cocoa Village. It was amazing. Yeah, it was incredible. And so I know that just kind of boosted his portfolio up 5 units right there.
Absolutely.
So, and that's such a great location too. So there's really great pockets all over Brevard also for people who are wanting to invest in and get in that route too.
That's interesting because I could tell you this much too, just in conversation. Again, there's so many people that have money, have capital, have equity, and again, want to know where to spend it. And the problem is, especially again, just kind of focusing up north, there's just the price point of what you're starting at is insane, right? So like if you wanted to buy even, let's say, a duplex, you know, you're starting at like above $1 million. So then, yeah. So like, you know, again, the average duplex, let's say, is going to go for like 1.2 to 1.5 million. So your investment into that, even at 25% down, is a few $100,000 plus closing costs. But now you also got to look at what your monthly payment is.
Yes.
And we're talking $8,000 to $10,000 as a payment. You've now got to find a tenant or multiple tenants that are going to pay a high price.
Yes.
And one of the things that actually a lot of people don't understand or know is that the tenant laws are very different. Tenant landlord laws are very different down here than in New York.
Okay.
So New York is definitely more a tenant state. You know, that's the laws favor tenants.
Sure.
And so you can have a tenant in New York that is not paying for a year or even past that. So just imagine if you've got an $8,000 to $10,000 payment and your tenant isn't paying, what that does to you. And so for those people that are like, I want to invest, I don't have the, you know, I don't want to deal with that.
Sure.
And I'm looking for a place. I mean, you just said there are really great pockets to invest down here.
There are.
And the rental market's very strong.
It is, yes, because, and that's the other thing too. You know, I've got other doctors who are, because they don't know the area very, very well, even though we do a beautiful tour for them. But they want to get familiar to see exactly what's going to best suit them.
Yeah.
You know, is it going to be Viera? Is it going to be on the river in Merritt Island? Is it going to be, you know, a penthouse, you know, condo on the beach? What's going to best suit their lifestyle, where they're at? So, and it takes a minute to get familiar because we do have so much to offer, and you want to know exactly how to navigate that. So renting, again, good quality tenants, renting might be the best way to go for a year or two for these, you know, newcomers that are coming as well.
Right. So if you're an investor, you know that there's not going to be a shortage of renters.
Correct.
These are good paying renters.
Yes.
And then again, the laws down here are in your favor as a landlord as well. So if anyone's that's, you know, looking for a place to invest, again, it's another great location.
Yes.
And that's why it's so important to work with someone like you that not only grew up here, has been outside of here, back here, and knows really every aspect of the area. And so, you know, just hearing your story, seeing your knowledge, knowing, you know, who you are. I mean, I could tell anyone that's out there, like, if you're really looking for someone that's going to work on your behalf, and someone that knows the area, someone that cares for the best of them, then that's really where they need to work with someone like you.
Thank you. I'd love to work with them.
Anything else that you would like to say to just anyone that's going to be looking at this, that's considering looking at the area? Like, what would you like them to know? What would you like them to know maybe about the area or even yourself? Any final thoughts about that?
I mean, I think you hit it pretty spot on. I am from here. I do love Brevard. I think that we've got such a great team and support system around us. You know, we've got amazing lenders who get creative like yourself. So really, again, Brevard has so much to offer, and no matter which walk of life you're at and where you're at, you know, there's something for everybody. And I do think that it's a great place to call home or a second home, vacation home, you know, investor spot, whatever you want it to be. But
so I'm going to put you on the spot. What's something unique about you?
Oh.
You're nervous when you're doing this podcast.
I was nervous. Yes, I'm nervous.
You would not expect that, would you? Because she's such a natural. But we were sitting here. She's like, I'm so nervous. I'm so nervous.
I was so nervous.
And then the camera's going. She's like, hey.
Let's see. Something you don't know about or something interesting about me. My husband and I adopted our daughter.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so sweet.
Yes.
And so, again, I appreciate you taking the time to be
you. I appreciate
on
you.
this podcast.
Yes.
But Diana, thank you so much for being on here. And again, I hope you guys enjoy this as well.
Thank you.